So on page 164, we'll do Adonai Sfatai, Tiftach together. We'll continue with the first three prayers of the Amidah together, and then we'll continue silently. And when we're finished silently, we can sit down, and then we'll finish our service from there. So please rise in body and in spirit. Adonai Shabbat
Aug-24-2018
Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to begin with a poem, another poem, by Yehuda Amichai, a famous 20th century Israeli poet. It's entitled Tourists. Visits of condolences is all we get from them. They squat at the Holocaust Memorial. They put on grave faces at the Wailing Wall. And they laugh behind heavy curtains in their hotels. They have their pictures taken together with our famous dead at Rachel's tomb and Herzl's tomb and on top of Ammunition Hill. They weep over our sweet boys and lust over our tough girls. Once I sat on the steps by a gate at David's tower. I placed my 2 heavy baskets at my side. A group of tourists was standing around their guide, and I became their target marker. You see that man over there with the baskets? Just right of his head, there's an arch from the Roman period. Just right of his head. But he's moving, I said to myself. Redemption will come only if their guide tells them, you see that arch over there from the Roman period? It's not important. But next to him, next to the arch, left and down a bit, there sits a man who's bought fruit and vegetables for his family. Now, there is a unique pedagogical question on how to frame and enter into discourse about the people, land, and state of Israel. Israel through the lens of ancient Jewish history should be framed differently than through the lens of contemporary global Jewish relations. And Israel's political relationship with its neighbors should be framed differently from its social and cultural relationship with them. Even contextualizing with tourism through the poetry of Yehuda Amichai, that can offer a moving experience of Israel, although it's through a distinct lens. Having grown up in Omaha, Nebraska for 18 years, involved in Jewish teaching and learning, prayer and music and social action, and Israel education, I wanted more. As such, it was just 1 year ago that I enrolled in the rabbinical program at Hebrew Union College, a 5-year rabbinical seminary affiliated with the Reform movement. What's special about this rabbinical school, compared to others, is that the first year of this school is spent in Jerusalem. And so it goes, 1 year ago from today, 1 year ago from about 4 months ago, I picked up my life and I moved to Jerusalem. And after a whirlwind of academic learning and professional growth and linguistic and cultural development, it's only natural that the question of how to engage in dialogue about Israel upon returning has been on my mind. So this question, however, is a challenging one. So I inquired of some of my colleagues in order to better understand the landscape. 1. A master's candidate in Jewish education and current classmate calls it unconditional love. My love of Israeli culture and identity has allowed me to confidently sing Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people live, on Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's Independence Day, because we have a right to this land, and we have had a right to this land for thousands of years. I love Israel. 2. Another rabbinical student, and also current classmate in the same class, articulates, I have visited Hebron and seen the widespread economic inequality, political powerlessness, and unsafe living conditions found in the West Bank. We have had an obligation as Jews to love our neighbors as ourselves, as it is written in your Torah, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. And currently, we're not doing our neighbors justice. I can't stand Israel. 3. A professor of mine from this past year concludes, I would rather scarf down a bacon cheeseburger on the bima during Kol Nidre services while declaring that God doesn't exist and has never existed than ever discuss Israel in a congregational setting. Anything but Israel. So far we have 1, I love Israel. 2, I can't stand Israel. And 3, the bacon cheeseburger dude who just doesn't want to do anything with it. So I suppose I was expecting to hear it's complicated from everybody, but they didn't need to tell me that it was complicated. I understood that everybody has a slightly different lens, or a slightly different framework through which they view Israel, and that's different. So as I reflect upon the question of how to engage in dialogue about Israel when coming home, I want to share 3 short anecdotes that speak to my experience of living in Israel. The first begins with the idea of the Jewish calendar, and specific in Israel. So standard Israeli weekdays begin on Sundays and end on Thursdays, as opposed to the typical Western week, which starts on Mondays and ends on Fridays. And the weekend begins really Thursday evening and goes until after Shabbat finishes on Saturday evening late. Most Friday mornings, I had school off. I was able to participate in a pickup game, a game of ultimate frisbee, which was invigorating and enthralling and full of athleticism sometimes, and it represented a diverse crowd, and frequently represented in Israeli society. Jewish and Muslim, secular and religious, old and young, 70 to 7. And although each game was distinct in its own way, each game concluded with the slicing into this big juicy watermelon, which was purchased by Natan. And Natan was a regular attendee. Natan asked for help. He always needed to know the number of players in the game in order to estimate the size of the melon before he bought it at the shuk. So in this group text, which includes hundreds and hundreds of Israelis, he pulled the frisbee players every week, striving to achieve his own minyan. So he used the moment to bring people together outside of a religious context to dwell together as one community. Natan taught me ech livnot kihila, or how to build community. The second story is 2 Kabbalat Shabbats per month. I had the opportunity to lead services at 2 different communities in and around Jerusalem. Now the other 2 Shabbats I had free. However, I could often have been found prepping for a Friday night for a Shabbat dinner in my home with the most sacred of kitchen appliances, the crock pot. So I would often purchase a whole chicken from the shuk, Jerusalem's open-air market, along with vegetables of all sorts and all kinds and all colors. And the notion of slow cooking in the home, that's omnipresent in Israel. My classmates habitually slow cooked their Shabbat meals in order to attend synagogue and still return home upon returning from synagogue to a hot meal. On Friday afternoons, like Natan with the watermelon, on Friday afternoons, my classmates asked for help. So like clockwork, we would all telephone each other, and we would make plans welcoming one another into our homes. We would pray and dine and sing together, and we always cherished separating what was sacred from what was profane. My classmates taught me the value of kedushat zman, or sanctifying time, setting time aside. The third story, this past winter, our class studied the Arab-Israeli conflict's impact on greater Israeli consciousness by visiting sites of conflict and meeting with activists and academics and politicians of all sorts. One lecture we had included a visit to the Temple Mount. So while marveling at the Dome of the Rock, the beautiful golden dome in Jerusalem, I could not help but reminisce on rabbinic text while looking at the place where Abraham attempted to sacrifice his son just 3,000 years ago. In Mishnah Ta'anit it said, Mi she'ana et Abraham b'har ha-Moriah, on Mount Moriah, hu ya'aneh etchem, v'yishma b'kol tza'aktchem, hayom hazeh. The leader cries out, he who answered Abraham on Mount Moriah, may he answer you. So standing atop the western wall, my eyes looking expectantly to this golden dome, I was stunned by just the vast waters of Jewish history that surrounded us. We were standing on Har HaMoriah, on Mount Moriah, and we were so far removed from ancient Judaism, enough to bring forth modern-day questions of why are we still here? And what does our Judaism mean to us today? And how do we express that? So a group of students and I approached our professor, and like Natan and my other classmates, we asked for help. How can we reconcile the immeasurable history that has happened in this place? And my professor responded, at some point in time, Abraham was no longer there to tell his story when he nearly sacrificed his son. And at some point in time, nor was Isaac to tell his side of the story. And neither were his descendants. And here we are. Just as we pass the Torah midor lador, from generation to generation, and just as we read the same parsha every single year, from year to year, discourse about Israel is also transmitted from generation to generation. From parents to children, from teachers to students. The Jewish narrative corresponds to Israel is one simply about that. Narrative. There will be moments when a student and teacher do not coexist together in discussion anymore. Nevertheless, the conversations continue to occur with the same love and integrity with which they were born. And so my professor taught me that now it's up to us. It's not up to Abraham. It's not up to Isaac or Jacob, but rather his descendants to seek out demanding issues who yearn for both particular Jewish knowledge and for universal knowledge of truth. In this week's parsha, Ki Tetzeh, Moses speaks to members of his own community, specifically to guardians of those who struggle to follow orders, as they prepare to enter into the land of Israel and prepare for war. Ki yihyeh le'ish ben sorer u'moreh. If a man has a son who is disobedient and will not listen to his father and mother, then the parents shall take him to the elders of the city for judgment, and the men of his town shall stone him to death.
Nice.
A boy to be stoned to death for not listening to his parents? Now, I was a pretty bad kid, but that didn't happen to me. You were supposed to laugh there. Even the rabbis argued with this text. They proposed in Mishnah Sanhedrin a wayward and rebellious son. At what time can he become a wayward and rebellious son? From when he grows 2 hairs until his beard grows full. And so even the rabbis asked for help. They engaged in machloket, or difference of opinion, in order to reinterpret our sacred tradition, to argue that children in fact could not be stoned to death. They were too young. The rabbis learned how to remain poised in conversation and call upon one another when they struggle with the Jewish tradition. So when the rabbis seek support, their request is not perceived as negative, rather quite the opposite. Their appeal renders them a humble servant to the Jewish tradition, with both practical knowledge and personal responsibility. And so like the rabbis request help from God, and like I request help from my professor, and like my classmates request help from each other, and Natan requests help from the Ultimate Frisbee group about the watermelon, there's this notion that everyone asks for help. And when we seek advice, we do more than build a community and delineate between what is sacred and profane, and converse about the complex and remain poised when the going gets tough. When we ask for help, we do more to learn, to listen, and speak intelligently about Israel and its multifaceted society. When we ask for help, at the very core, we're engaged in dialogue with one another. So it's only been a few months since returning home from Israel, and to this day it remains a blessing to continue to build relationships here in the States and here at Temple Or Chadash. I want us to always be surrounded with topics that continue to challenge us to act in more ethical and moral ways. May we ensure that our interpersonal exchanges facilitate both personal and spiritual growth, and may we continue to ask one another for help in ways that all of us do in order for our community to become a brighter and more compassionate source of truth. Can you hear us on Shabbat Shalom? We're going to continue in our service with the celebration of birthdays and anniversaries. So if you have a birthday or anniversary, please.
Whatever you want.
Oh, yeah, I would love for if you have a birthday or anniversary, please come on up in the month of August. Jordan and Miranda Kemp, John and Leah Scher, Marty and Patsy Goldberg, Audrey and Jerry Stockton, Jeff and Michelle Baker, Doug and Debbie Salmon. And birthdays, Frank Deming, Lori Jacobson, Laura Owen, Diane Hunter, Patsy Goldberg, Jim Hunter, Mike Jones, Alana Jones, and Leonard Abels. Please come on up.
Where do you want?
You guys in the middle together. Birthdays and anniversaries are special events that only happen once a year, if we're lucky. And I want us to really take this moment. To recognize that this is the time that this group is going to come together during this year, and I want us to do something special for them. So I want us to say Shechianu, which is the time when something happens for the first time in the year. So for them, this is their first time in the year to come, whether it's another year around the sun, or another year around the sun with someone they love. So let's all say Shechianu together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu l'zman hazeh.
Amen.
Please have a seat. We're also going to take this time now to think about those who are in need of healing, whether healing of the body, healing of the spirit, healing of the mind or the soul. And if there's someone who you're thinking of in need of healing, as my eyes glance around the room, please feel free to share their name, whether out loud or inside your heart.
Sarah Leonard.
Graham McLaren.
Janet Coolin. Linda Feldman, Brian Feldman, Andrew Feldman.
Tracy Rare.
Arlene Eccles.
Together, Misha Barak Lecholim, on page 109. Yeah. We take all those names that were said out loud and said in our hearts, and we continue on page 109 with Misha Barak Lecholim. Are there any announcements for the community for this weekend, for upcoming weekends? Come on up.
So full of joy. It's wonderful. Okay,
Okay, so for the weekend, we're back to full go. We have Torah study tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Rivendell, and that is open to everyone. And for those who haven't been to Torah study before, it's casual, it's relaxed, it's not competitive. You don't have to know the verses. It's a discussion. So please, please, please come and join us. At 6:30 at night, we have a members-only Havdalah. You should have RSVP'd. It's a potluck. If you haven't, let Carol know, Carol Roberts. The only reason it's members-only is because it's hosted in a private home. So, but we hope that we'll see lots of members there. And then Sunday, we're having adult chat led by Rabbi Scott. If you didn't see your email, it's changed to 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm so sorry. We got an information 5 minutes before we sent that out that they're repaving or painting or whatever the Rivendell parking lot. We have to be out of their parking lot by noon. So shifting it to 9 a.m. was the only way to get that in. So I apologize. It's just for next week, but please don't let Scott be the only one there. And then right after that, we're going to have our membership meeting on the Torah Purchase Project. I can update you on where we are, and then we just need to have a conversation about whether the congregation would like us to move forward with that project. High Holy Days, just around the corner, literally. You should have gotten several emails, one with the schedule for the whole series of events. You should have gotten one for the Rosh Hashanah Oneg with an RSVP to Carol Tuttle so that she knows what you're bringing so we can make sure that we have enough food for everyone. And also for Break the Fast, please let Pat Harris know as soon as possible if you will or if you won't be attending Break the Fast so that she can plan the numbers. Oh, and if you haven't or you want to, she has registration forms with her. It's working a little different this year than we have in the past. What you do is you email Pat or talk to her tonight, and then she'll send you a registration form that has all the information for you to fill out. It's also a little different this year in that we're doing it sort of like Second Night Seder, where there's a fee, the $18 fee that goes with it, just because it's become such a huge event that we need to help offset those costs just a little bit.
That's adults only.
Adults only,
Kids
kids are free, students are free, it maxes at 36 for families, and certainly if it's an issue, just let us know. It shouldn't be a barrier to anyone. We're just trying to make it so that we can make it wonderful every year. Tashlich this year will be back at Spring Park, where we've had it for not last year, but the past several years by the firehouse off Remington. There'll be a map. There should be directions on there for you. At Yom Kippur, we will be doing the food donation collection for the Larimer County Food Bank, and you can donate either non-perishables or a check if you want them to buy the food. They make our dollar go a lot farther than we can. We'll also do the reading of the names in the memorial book. If your loved one's name is listed as a yard site, as a member, it's automatically in there. But if there's anyone that's been missing or anyone that you know that's not in the book or anyone who's not a member who would like a name read, please just email me and let me know, or Marty, and we'll make sure that that gets in the book. We need to know by Rosh Hashanah so that we can get that printed up. Be sure and check out the new website. The new website is up and live, and the calendar on the website is now accurate, so it should help. Yeah. Thank you, Marty and Matt. And
Adrian.
Oh, and Adrian, sorry. And we are streaming services. We would like to stream services more, but we need more people that can help us set it up. It doesn't take a long time, but we're hoping to get 3 or 4 different people who are willing to let Marty teach them how to set it up. That way, you don't have to be here every time. It's just whoever's here can take it out and set it up. So if you're interested, please let me know or please let Marty know so that we can try and get services streamed. We do know that people watch when they can't be here, and we have a couple people actually out of state that watch. So they really appreciate it when it's set up. That's all the announcements that I have. Unless there's anything else for anyone else.
The activity committee rests until after the holidays.
We'll turn to page 586 and rise for the Aleinu. And we'll pray together at the bottom of the page. Aleinu l'shaber l'adon hakol, v'ateitu lo v'yotzei b'reshit, Page 591. There are stars up above. So far away we only see their light. We only see their light long, long after the light is gone itself. And so it is with the people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. On this Shabbat, we are remembering those who have died in years past. In this month, we are remembering John Brock, Sandra Eskin, John Margolin, Errol Gadol, Elsie Stamper, Harlan Simon White, Norman Berman, Jeff Bardman, Marion Skelsky, Lillian Goldowski, Gerv Stamper. And in the past year, we are remembering Jeff Bardman, Donna Sadler, Norma Webb, Joel Stein, Alfred Alberts, Mariana Mickey Luxemburg, Fred Bader, Dolores Grabish. And if there's anyone else who you are remembering, whether in Shiva, Shloshim, or Yortzeit, please share their names out loud or in your hearts as my eyes meet yours.
Joe Crane.
Ready for yourself?
Stanley Ulino and Selma Ulino.
We take all of their names said out loud or in our hearts, and we hold them as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish together. Page 598. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabah, Ve'alma Tibrach Yirteh, Ve'alit B'amoteh, V'hayeh Chon, V'yomeh Chon, V'hayeh V'molvei Yisrael, V'agalav Yisman Karev, V'yimur Amen. Yeh Shmei Rabah, V'barach, Elam, V'mei Eloheinu, Yitzvarach, Yishtabach, Yitzvahar, Yitzvamah, Yitzaseh, Yitzadar, Yitzalel, Yitzalal, Shmei Kushal, Rechu, Le'elam Mikol Berchatav, Shishachatav, Shushachatav, Nechmatav, Tamiram, V'yomam, V'yimru, Amen. Yeh Shema Rabba, Yishmaya, V'hayim Avinu, V'yachol Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'yimru, U'yaseh Shalom, Amen, V'yachol Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. Please be seated. In a moment, we're going to sing our closing song, and we're going to move into the Oneg, which is, I believe, right across the proverbial street. We're going to be there. We're going to make kiddush and motzi, and we're going to be able to schmooze. I'm super excited to meet all of you. One thing that I just want to let you know is that I've been feeling very, very welcomed here, and I'm so grateful for that. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know all of you, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful year. So with that, I also want to thank everyone who's involved in the service, Natalie, Brooke for helping out, Marty for helping out, everybody who's been very, very helpful over the past couple weeks in planning this. So thank you very much. Great, we're going to end with Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. I'm going to go over here.
657.
Yeah, the bottom of page 657.
657. Od Yavo Shalom.